Hello, everyone. It's Samson, and today I'm just going to be doing a little Green Bay Packers 3 round mock draft. I'm super excited for the NFL draft this year. I think there's so many awesome prospects and so many ways Green Bay can take this draft. So I'm going to get into this. This is the Pro Football Network mock draft simulator. It's been what I've been using for over a month now to kind of simulate and see different scenarios and things that I can see the Green Bay Packers taking. And yeah, let's go. All right, draft starting here. Caleb Williams goes 1. This is kind of interesting. This is has Washington take Joe Alt at number 2. I expect quarterback on that pick, but so the reason I'm going so slow here is I'm just making sure I'm looking. So obviously I can pause and resume this draft, and you see this proposed trade button. So I'm looking for some of these guys, some names that I think if they fall to past 21 or 22 overall. As you can see, the Packers have the 25th pick right here. So if a couple of these names, for example, Amarius Mims, Fuaga, Johnny Newton, Chop Robinson. These are all a couple guys that I think if they fall to 21 or 22, I am going to pause the draft and just kind of see if I can trade up a couple spots and get those guys because I think they're kind of would be slipping at that point. So I might try to go grab them. So we're here at 17. Fuaga's still there. If he falls to maybe 18 or 19, I'll pull the trigger on it. Fuaga's still here at 20, so I think I'm going to try to come up with the Pittsburgh Steelers here. As you may or may not have seen, the Packers did just pick up Andre Dillard from the Titans. He is a veteran tackle that kind of had a rough season last year, so I don't expect that to deter Green Bay's want for offensive tackle early in this draft. And if a guy like this, Fuaga, who is the 14th overall prospect, according to Pro Football Network, falls all the way down to number 20, I am going to go get him. So here, let's go. Obviously, we'll give him our first round pick. That's the number 25 overall. We want just this number 20, and I would expect they would want probably 58 and maybe another one. So we'll see if 25, 58, and 169 is enough to go get him at 20. They said yes, perfect. So we moved up to the 20th spot, and we have a couple trade offers here from the Saints for the 26 and 92. Obviously, we just traded up, so there's no point trading back down. So I am going to go ahead and scoop up Fuaga. We did give up a second rounder for him, but I really think he's worth it. He didn't give up a sack his entire college career. So I think that's a guy that the Packers would definitely be interested in drafting. We'll see how the rest of this play kind of shakes out. Interesting, Cooper DeJean's still on the board. He's definitely a guy that I would have went and got. So the Packers pick again early here. We're up to our pick here at 41. The Raiders offer us 44 in a second next year. I think I'll say no. 55 in a second next year from Miami. I think I'll say no again. So as we look up in here, this kind of projected team needs for Green Bay, number 1 linebacker, obviously. Devontae Campbell gone. Quay Walker hasn't really lived up to expectations according to some, so that might be an interest. Offensive guard, offensive tackle. I don't think they go 2 offensive tackle, offensive linemen in a row. So because we took Fuaga, that's probably off the board. So that means that our needs that we're really looking for here is probably cornerback or safety. So I'm looking at this board, a couple interesting names. Tyler Nubin stands out to me for sure. He's a guy that's been falling because some of his athletic measurables maybe aren't up to standards as an NFL guy, but really solid tape, probably the best available safety in this draft. And 38th ranked prospect here at 41. So that is a good value pick according to them. The other two actually, they're interesting me right here is Trey Benson, running back out of Florida State. I know he's not on that list of team needs, but we know that Aaron Jones left. And even though we did bring in Josh Jacobs, a kind of third option at running back, because we're not sure what kind of production we'll get out of A.J. Dillon this year, I think a third option would be really great. And Max Melton here. We see Max Melton at 46. Obviously, his brother Bo, currently a Packers wide receiver, so some family ties there. But I think 46, maybe not exactly when we're looking to get Max Melton. I feel like he's a guy that you pick up if he falls a little bit. So I am going to take Nubin with this pick. Tyler Nubin, safety out of Minnesota. I think he's a really solid value in the second round. First safety off the board. We need someone to go across for Xavier McKinney. Obviously, that was an amazing signing, but we often play with a cover two, or two safeties. So I'm going Tyler Newman with this draft pick. See how the rest of this shakes up. Obviously, we did give up that pick at 58. Otherwise, we would have another pick here in the second round. If I really see something I like, I'll come up, but it looks like it's kind of shaken out how I would expect it to. We don't pick here for a while. We don't pick until number 88. I think there's definitely some options here. I think there's 150 to 200 really solid players in this draft that could help out the Packers a ton. Looking down this list, I see some names that I still really, really like, which is good. I feel like as you get down here in some drafts, it kind of gets a little scarce, but I don't think this is necessarily the case. I'll do one more draft after this just to do it again. This second draft will go a little bit faster. I just kind of wanted to show what that kind of simulated trade potential could look like. I'm honestly hoping they do trade up and go get somebody that they need in a draft like this. Okay, so looking ahead a little bit. Sorry, I jumped the gun a little bit. I was looking past all this. I see this name up here at edge rusher, Marshawn Nealand. He's somebody that both my uncle and my dad are super high on. He's got great tape coming out of Western Michigan. Obviously, they're not playing amazing competition, but super athletic guy. If we come in here and look at his little analysis page, I don't know if it'll let me look in here. Yeah, so you see this RAS number. That is raw athletic score. It's a score out of 10. So he receives a 9.08, which is really, really good for an edge rusher. He's also 6'3", which is good height, almost 270 pounds. So really well built, pretty prototypical edge rusher. And obviously we see that athletic score, so we know he's going to be pretty dominant athletically. So I think this is a pretty easy pick for me. I'm looking down here. There's Jalen McMillan, who the Packers have brought in, interviewed at wide receiver, really solid option out of Washington. We also see interesting Clemson running back here, Will Shipley, the Michigan running back, Blake Corum, and T'Vondre Sweat is still here. He's a guy that I maybe would be considering actually here at this 91st overall pick. But I think this pick for me is going to be Marshawn Nealand out of Western Michigan. Okay, the cool thing about this third round for Green Bay is we pick at 88 and 91, so we really get a lot of options here. We can kind of do whatever we want with this. I'm just looking at these trades quick. I don't think anything really piqued my interest, so I'm going to decline everything there. Looking at this list, I definitely see some interesting names, some players that could definitely help out Green Bay. A guy that I've done a lot, or have drafted to the Green Bay a lot, is Javon Bullard. He's a safety out of Georgia. Hits really well, tackles well. I can't remember if he's well-sized. No, 5'10", 200. Okay, so that was kind of his mark against him, is he's maybe not the biggest safety, which you can definitely look past. But safety is a position, obviously, that we already filled in the second round. So I don't think they'll take two safeties in this draft, at least early. So I talked briefly about T'Vondre Sweat, and I think he is a really interesting option here. We look at our picks. We went offensive tackle, edge rusher, safety. So one offense, two defensive guys. This is our last pick in the first 2 days. So I think I am going to go relatively defensive heavy, because if we come over here and we look at T'Vondre Sweat, the thing is that really interests me about him is this weight right here. 366 pounds. He's probably the heaviest player in this entire draft, but he moves well. He's really interesting. I don't think there's a big, just real big body like that. Kind of eats up runs, which is super awesome for us to have, because Kenny Clark, our current defensive tackle, is amazing, but his main thing is to kind of pass rush a little bit, and he does run stop well-ish, but it's not really his main thing. So to have a big guy like T'Vondre Sweat that you can kind of throw in there as a substitute and really just chew up that A and B gap is going to be awesome for us. So I am going to take T'Vondre Sweat here out of Texas with our 91st pick. He was 93rd ranked overall, so it's not even really that much of a reach according to Pro Football Network. We'll see how these last couple ones shape out, and that is going to be the end of the first mock draft that I do. We see here, number 20 overall, we traded up with the Pittsburgh Steelers to take Talisie Fuaga out of Oregon State. He's probably my favorite tackle in this draft. Just a dog on the offensive line, moves really well, really good size. Obviously, production is there. He doesn't really take plays off, which I think is so awesome. Like, you look at a couple of these guys and, like, Obviously, nobody else in this entire draft hasn't given up a sack. Like, that's just an absurd stat that I think has to carry over. He is the only offense I go. I give up the 58th overall pick, which is a second rounder, but I feel like it's definitely worth it to go get him. We kept our 41st overall pick, which is our pretty high second rounder, to take Tyler Nubin, kind of a borderline first, second round prospect out of Minnesota, first safety off the board in the whole draft. We get him, we bring him in at 41. We drop down all the way to 88, where we take Marshawn Nealand out of Western Michigan, productive, very athletic, well-sized edge rusher out of Western Michigan. All edge rushers can help. They always say you can never have enough pass rush, so that's where we went with that pick. And finally, at 91, our last third rounder, pretty late in the third round, we take Tavondre Sweat, the big 366-pound defensive tackle out of Texas. All right, thank you for watching. I'll probably make one more of these and send it off. And I might do a quick full mock draft, a full 32 rounder. I will be doing a mock draft with my uncle, and I will be sharing those results with you shortly. That'll probably be in the next day or 2 days. I'll get that uploaded. And yeah, thank you for watching.